U.S. President Donald Trump considering military strikes on Iran. In the Gulf, the air is heavy, not with smoke or sound, but with intention. For days, American warships have been moving quietly through the narrow waters between Oman and Iran. Carriers, cruisers, destroyers, forming patterns that say what politicians won't. Something is coming. And now, President Donald Trump has confirmed it. If Iran refuses to make a deal on its nuclear program within days, the United States is considering military strikes. 10 days. That's the window Trump gave Tehran. We're either going to get a deal, he said, or it's going to be unfortunate for them. It was vintage Trump, part threat, part theater. But this time, the stage is surrounded by steel. The USS Abraham Lincoln is already in the Gulf. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the largest warship on Earth, has entered the Mediterranean. Dozens of escort vessels, packed with Tomahawk cruise missiles, flank both carriers. This is not posturing anymore. This is the largest U.S. air and naval buildup in the region since the invasion of Iraq in 2003. But the question is simple and dangerous. What happens when pressure meets pride? Trump's ultimatum to Iran is not just about nuclear centrifuges or uranium enrichment. It's about leverage and legacy. He wants a deal that proves America still dictates the global agenda. He wants Iran to fold publicly, visibly, completely. But Iran knows this playbook. They've studied it since 2018, when Trump tore up the nuclear deal, imposed sanctions, and promised Tehran's isolation. Back then, Iran waited. Now it's watching, because the moment Trump set a deadline, he revealed something more than intention. He revealed impatience. And in diplomacy, impatience is weakness. Over the past month, the United States has turned the Middle East into a floating fortress. Squadrons of F-15s, F-22s, and F-35s have been flown into bases across Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, and the UAE. Refueling tankers, radar systems, and surveillance aircraft have followed. It's a full-spectrum posture, designed for both deterrence and destruction. But there's a paradox here. The same bases now hosting U.S. jets are the same ones Iran has vowed to strike if the U.S. attacks. Every takeoff could invite retaliation. Every missile launch could trigger escalation. That's the razor's edge Washington is balancing on. This isn't the first time Trump has ordered strikes on Iran. Last June, under Operation Midnight Hammer, American stealth bombers hit Iran's nuclear sites at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. It was a one-night operation, short, sharp, and secret. But it failed to obliterate Iran's program. Within weeks, satellite imagery showed repair work already underway. Iran's enrichment levels climbed again. The operation sent a message, but it didn't change the math. Iran survived. And now, Tehran believes it can do so again. Across the Persian Gulf, the Revolutionary Guard is staging live fire drills. Ballistic missiles, anti-ship systems, swarming drone boats. It's not just military theater, it's signaling. Iran wants the world to see that it's ready, that its defenses are hardened, its bunkers reinforced, its cyber units mobilized, and perhaps most importantly, that it has options. Because Iran's strength isn't in open war, it's in asymmetry. It can strike through proxies, cyber networks, or missile salvos, anywhere, anytime. Every new American deployment gives Iran another target. According to Western intelligence sources, Iran has been reinforcing Fordow, the deep underground facility near Qom, with additional concrete shielding, possibly designed to withstand even bunker-buster munitions. Satellite imagery also shows air defense radars being repositioned near Bushehr and Bandar Abbas, a clear preparation for possible strikes. Iran is not guessing. It's reading the map and preparing for the moment when diplomacy fails. Behind the scenes, Israel is deeply involved. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in Washington just last week. Israeli intelligence has been sharing hourly updates with U.S. military planners. For Israel, the stakes are existential. They see Iran's nuclear progress as an immediate threat, one that cannot be tolerated. But here's the reality. Even Israel's military knows airstrikes can't achieve regime change. They can destroy infrastructure, not ideology. And without a ground invasion, Iran's government will endure. That's the nightmare scenario: endless strikes, rising retaliation, and no victory. For all its might, the United States faces a logistical trap. Launching a limited strike sounds simple on paper, but to do it sustainably requires forward bases. Yet Britain has refused U.S. access to RAF Fairford and Diego Garcia. Saudi Arabia and Qatar have signaled similar caution. That leaves American carriers as the only option, and that's a risk the Pentagon knows too well. Iran's missile batteries are calibrated for exactly that scenario. Its entire military doctrine revolves around neutralizing U.S. naval assets before they strike. So while the build-up projects strength, it also creates vulnerability, a concentration of targets within Iran's range. For Trump, this is personal. He has built his presidency and his persona on the idea that pressure works. But geopolitics isn't a real estate negotiation. Iran doesn't deal in bankruptcy or bluster. It deals in ideology, martyrdom, and long memory. And by framing this as an ultimatum, 10 to 15 days to decide, Trump has boxed himself in. If Iran refuses and he doesn't act, he looks weak. If he acts without results, he looks reckless. If he wins militarily but loses allies, he looks isolated. That's the paradox of power in 2026. Every day the American buildup continues. It costs millions. Fuel, deployment, logistics, morale. Markets know this, and they're reacting. Oil has surged past $150 per barrel. Gold is approaching $5,000 an ounce. The dollar, once the crisis refuge, is wobbling. Investors are moving away from U.S. assets, not because America is weak, but because America is unpredictable. And unpredictability is the one thing markets cannot price. In Tehran, the leadership is divided but united in one belief: they will not surrender under threat. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei sees Trump's ultimatum as validation, proof that Iran's resistance is working. President Ibrahim Raisi, under domestic pressure after months of protests, views defiance as survival. Iran's calculus is simple. A short war strengthens nationalism. A long one exposes American exhaustion. Either outcome keeps the regime in power. So while Trump's clock ticks, Iran waits, knowing that time, for once, is its ally. War in 2026 isn't fought only with missiles, it's fought in code. Iran's cyber units, some operating from inside the Revolutionary Guard, others from covert facilities in Tehran, have mapped Western infrastructure targets. U.S. intelligence believes they could hit electric grids, hospitals, or oil terminals if the conflict begins. These aren't theoretical threats. Iran has done it before, in Saudi Arabia, in Israel, even in parts of the U.S. municipal network. A missile strike is visible. A cyber strike is silent until the lights go out. That's the new reality of 21st century confrontation. Lost in the noise of strategy and deterrence are the people caught in between. In Tehran, ordinary citizens line up for bread as inflation bites deeper. In Bahrain and Qatar, families living near U.S. bases worry that their neighborhoods could become war zones overnight. Every government decision at the top sends ripples through millions of lives below. Every threat on social media echoes in real streets, real homes. And that's what makes this moment so fragile. It's not just about governments. It's about how quickly the world can unravel when leaders mistake visibility for strength. The world has seen this before. In 2003, the buildup to Iraq looked similar: confident, overwhelming, decisive. But what began as shock and awe became years of attrition. History doesn't repeat itself perfectly, but it rhymes. The same overconfidence that guided superpowers into Baghdad now hovers over the Gulf. The same underestimation of resistance, the same belief that technology guarantees control, is once again in play. And the same question lingers: can force truly shape political will? Across the Atlantic, Europe is watching with unease. Germany and France have urged restraint. Britain's refusal to allow its bases marks a historic shift in alignment, from automatic support to cautious independence. It's a signal that the Western alliance is no longer unified by instinct, but divided by risk assessment. And that division is what adversaries like Russia and China have waited for. Because every crack in the transatlantic wall is an opening, a space to expand influence, a moment to redraw the map of power. This is the world as it truly is in 2026. No single nation can act without consequence. No threat goes unanswered, and no alliance is guaranteed. China's navy now patrols the Indian Ocean. Russia's warships share intelligence with Iran. Even non-aligned states like India are quietly recalculating, balancing trade with Washington against energy from Tehran. This isn't just a standoff over nuclear policy. It's the test of whether the United States can still act unilaterally in a multipolar age. So far, the answer looks uncertain. Inside the Pentagon, generals are drawing up two sets of plans, one for deterrence, one for action. Each carries risk. A limited strike could spiral into full-scale conflict. A full-scale war could ignite regional chaos. And the irony is cruel. Every move to appear stronger makes America more vulnerable to miscalculation, to retaliation, to the erosion of its alliances. Power, once unquestioned, now comes with diminishing returns. In Jerusalem, Israel is quietly preparing for spillover. Air defense systems are on alert. The Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow 3 batteries are fully manned. Because if the U.S. strikes Iran, Israel expects to be hit, directly or through proxies. Iran could unleash Hezbollah in Lebanon, or long-range missiles from Syria, or cyber strikes on Israel's infrastructure. For Netanyahu, this is both an opportunity and a gamble. An opportunity to weaken Iran, and a gamble that Israel won't bear the retaliation alone. That's why coordination with Washington has become hourly. Every radar track, every launch signature, every cyber alert shared instantly. This isn't just alliance, it's survival. So what happens when the 10-day clock runs out? There are three scenarios. Scenario 1, Iran caves. It agrees to a limited deal, capping enrichment and granting inspectors access. That's Trump the outcome, a political victory without war. Scenario 2, Iran stalls. It offers partial concessions, dragging negotiations into another cycle of delay. That buys time, but not peace. Scenario 3, Iran refuses. Trump orders strikes, and the world crosses a line that no one can uncross. Which outcome will happen? Even Trump's advisors don't know, because in this White House, policy shifts by the hour. And the difference between diplomacy and disaster is sometimes just a single post online. In the skies above the Gulf tonight, American jets are flying racetrack patterns, endless loops of readiness. Iran's radar operators watch them, each side waiting for the other to blink. 10 days remain. 10 days between talk and tragedy. 10 days that could define the next decade of global security. It's the most dangerous calm in the world, a calm built not on peace, but on calculation. What we are witnessing is not just a military buildup. It's the slow collision between confidence and consequence. Trump believes pressure will produce surrender. Iran believes endurance will outlast power. Both may be wrong. Because history doesn't reward the loudest, it rewards the patient. And in the long corridors of diplomacy, it's patience, not provocation, that determines who writes the ending. The carriers are in position, the clock is ticking, and the world is waiting to see if this time talk will end before the silence does.